Here we go on a Sunday morning, Las Vegas. I hope you all sprung forward because it's just after 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock. Arizona caught up last night. Hey, you are dialed into Fox Sports Radio, 98.9 FM, 1340 AM, flagship of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm Bryan Feldman, and this is Outta Line. We're here every Sunday live in the Fox Sports Residential Bancorp studio in Las Vegas. Also here, Caleb Herring, the last UNLV quarterback to lead the Rebels to a bowl game. Caleb is also part of the UNLV football broadcast team on our sister station, ESPN The Leader. And in studio, as most of the time when he's not traveling in the Far East, Chris Magnum. And he passed it along. Can you hear my voice? I caught it.
Yeah, we're all sitting at least 3 feet away from
Joke's
Bryan
on
right
you.
now.
I gave it to all you guys.
Yes, sitting ducks. And what he knows that we don't is there's a cure, because look at him.
Yeah,
he's cured.
He's fine.
Well, you know,
right.
when I came back, I was a little under the weather, but
Now I'm under the weather.
Now you tell us.
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, under the weather. But that is Chris Magnum Chapman. And who, thanks to the coronavirus panic, is out of his gig as Vegas Golden Knights radio locker room reporter, because as of like 24 hours ago, media and their germy asses are no longer allowed in NHL locker rooms. That
Media
is a fact.
people are germy, though. I mean, those scrums, there's a lot of spit being passed around.
Oh, my God. You know what? I don't want to hear about that. Max, you know what the locker room...
disgusting.
Do you know what the press room that's right next to the locker rooms at the Sam Boyd Stadium smell like, for God's sakes? The germs are with the athletes.
Well, we take showers, though. The media is just in there with us.
What do you want us to come in and take a shower with you?
No, you're just in
I
there
think
with
that's what it
germs,
sounded
and you're like,
like, yeah.
you're like,
Right?
they're
Is
like
that-
pushing
is that an
like
invite?
the amount of arms that like push against each other to get their mic closer. It's like that's just a lot of skin to skin
Well,
contact.
that's the thing. Like
Media people have a problem with personal space. Like they never realize they're too close. I think that's the problem.
Well,
I've
have
been coughed on.
We'll get into all this in a little bit. Let's get through this so we can get to the show. And I haven't even introduced our most important new member, the guy making sure we are now seen and heard all over social media, our beloved intern and social media director.
The Wiz!
That is Spencer Ostrovsky.
Why do you look at me with such satisfaction every time you get it
I
right?
know, because you made such a big point of it. But listen, the show is also streaming live on the LV Sports Network. And as long as you have Lysol wipes, which we do, and are wearing a surgical mask, we'll take your calls. The Fox Sports Residential Bancorp studio line is 702-876-1340.
Hi, this is Bubby, and it's time for What's on Tap.
Make them both, and it's 67-61 the final. And a dejected group of Runnin Rebels who had a tremendous Mountain West Conference campaign.
5 seconds left, and the fans in Winnipeg to their feet. 2-1-0. It's all over at Bell MTS Place in Manitoba. Final score, Jets 4, Knights 0.
Wiz here, and this is What's on Tap, thanks to our title sponsor, Residential Bancorp. Whether purchasing a new home or refinancing the home you already own, Residential Bancorp is the company to turn to for all your home financing needs. Residential Bancorp, funding America one neighborhood at a time. On tap, March Madness, some hockey, and 2-on-1 with one of NASCAR's household names, and I was part of the two. Also joining the show, former UNLV player and current assistant basketball coach Kevin Kruger, plus interviews with Mountain West Conference Tournament MVP Sam Merrill and UNLV's Bryce Hamilton. Plus, big league weekend wraps up today at the Las Vegas ballpark. I am the Wiz, and that's What's on Tap, brought to you by Residential Bancorp. If you're looking to buy a home or refinance the home you already own, choose a company you can trust. Residential Bancorp, funding America one neighborhood at a time. And don't...
It is time for Blazing. Don't worry, Wiz. We'll get you in there with the social media. You'll make sure you hook everyone up. But Blazing is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, 215 North Durango. They are a Hail Mary pass from Centennial Hills Hospital. And they have 2 happy hours every day. And it is always America's favorite place for wings, beer, and sports during football season. We're up there for Monday Night Football. And we host Vegas Golden Knights Party. The next one coming up a week from Monday, 2 weeks from Monday, right? No, 2 weeks from Monday, because I'll be out in Costa Rica, and the Wiz and Chris Wynn will be filling in. We're going to try to entice Mags to go there as well, as long as the coronavirus isn't floating around that Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll try to make sure of that one. But it is time for Blazing, and I'm going to give a couple of them. I want to start off one that's blazing really well, and I'm going to read this out of the paper because this is blazing right now. And check this out. Former UNLV football coach Bobby Hauck agreed to a 4-year extension with Montana that runs through January 2024. The 55-year-old led the Grizzlies to a 16-9 mark and an FCS playoff berth over the past 2 seasons. He went 80-17 at Montana from 2003 to 2009. Before joining the Rebels, Hauck went 15-49 in 5 years at UNLV, with 4 2-win seasons and a 7-6 mark in 2013. And the person that helped him to that 2006 mark did not get paid at all for helping him to that mark. But Bobby Hauck does have a brand new contract, and that's blazing, isn't it, Caleb?
I don't like you. You could have referenced it without making it your blazing. That's fine if
That's
you
not
reference
blazing.
it. I would take that.
Because of you.
It has nothing to do with anything.
It does. And you know why? Because, and here you don't even take credit. I'm talking to you. This guy just got a contract extension. If you don't take him to a bowl game, he doesn't get rehired by Montana, and he's still employed as a football coach.
I don't
all
care.
Because of you.
I don't care.
Isn't that blazing?
No, so I'm blazing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, for him, you are. He just got another contract.
Why? First of all, he's reading that from the newspaper. Why is that in the newspaper here? Why does that matter here anymore?
Because he was a former.
Can we let it go? Can we let it go? Okay. That's the first thing. Number two, you didn't have to do that this morning. It's daylight saving. I'm already pissed off that I lost an hour.
Yeah, I did too.
I need my rest.
You weren't in here last night like me and the Wiz were.
It doesn't matter where you were last night. You lost an hour. It doesn't matter.
We did lose an hour.
So it's ridiculous. And you bring this Bobby stuff to me as if it's going to ruin my day. Well, you know what? I'm not going to let you steal my joy.
Okay,
I'm going to continue on in my Sunday morning.
The best part is what I found is I found something that will still cause a little irritation, and that's always a good thing to expose your Achilles heel. Who's blazing, by the way? I know I'm not. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you are like an iceberg right now. You are the opposite of blazing. We have to have an opposite of blazing segment for Bryan now because he's never blazing anymore, and he's sick. I hope it is coronavirus. I really hope it is. God, my blazing, though, is a Laker because the Lakers are doing great. It's LeBron James. I talked about this as a joke with some friends this week that it would be kind of satisfying if LeBron James won MVP this year, simply for the fact that I think he's resurrected a franchise that needs to be successful in the NBA. The Lakers, I'm talking about. It's been 6 years since they've been in the playoffs. This is the first year they clinched with the win over Milwaukee on Friday night. They clinched the first playoff berth in 6 years. LeBron James is averaging, since the All-Star break, I think 29 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds. I think he's averaging something like that. Close to a triple-double he's averaging. He's the only person that should be mentioned in the MVP race other than Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I was saying that it would be great if he actually won it just because of what I saw on Friday night, the way he went at Giannis and guarded Giannis. You rarely see LeBron James step up defensively and guard the best player on the other team anymore, but he did it against Giannis, and he was effective. He stole the ball a couple times, got a couple blocks, and slowed Giannis down. I mean, Giannis still had 30 points, but it wasn't a dominant 30 like Giannis usually has. So seeing that head-to-head matchup was good and fun for me. It's good for basketball, I think, and LeBron James in his 17th season is still schooling people on what it is to be the great one. So LeBron James is blazing to me. I know it's kind of cliche, but he's blazing.
I guarantee if he was still playing for the Cavaliers, no matter what he did, he wouldn't be blazing right now. But I will say this, and I'll agree with you. It's amazing. The dude, 8 straight NBA finals, and he took a year hiatus. And again, people ask, who was your favorite team? It's LeBron James, because every year LeBron James, that team is in the finals wherever he ends up. And 1 year off and here, revamped, turned this team into a powerhouse. And I just can't see anybody beating this team. At least,
Well, it's a shame that they're not the best team in Los Angeles, and we'll find out today.
We're gonna,
The Clippers are freaking stacking
game.
the deck right now.
Oh.
What they're doing with these
They're
free
doing what they
agent
should be
signings.
doing.
But I don't. The pieces that they're signing is like Joakim Noah. Like what? I don't know what he's going to bring
They
to you.
brought
I don't
him
know how
in to
many
beat
minutes.
up LeBron.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But I mean,
He's there to have.
how does he actually contribute to a team? And I think they had a championship level team before with just Lou Williams and Harrell coming off the bench.
Yeah.
That lead 7, because when you get to the playoffs, you don't play. Your rotation gets like 8, maybe 9.
But it's gonna.
That.
Bottom line is today is going to be a lot of fun
Oh, it's
watching
gonna
that
be great.
game. I mean,
the intensity is going to be playoff intensity.
Man,
the first 2 times they met, it was feel each other out. But this time it's
a battle.
late in the season.
It's
It's
a war.
it's playoff time. Let's play. Let's do it.
This is a total war. I've got some other ones too as well, but I want to hear Mags. Who's blazing?
I'm going to go with UFC 248 last night here in Las Vegas. Weili Zhang and Joanna, former champion. Her nickname was Joanna
They
Champion.
beat the hell out of each other.
It was, by all accounts, one of the best UFC fights of all time. People I trust in the fighting media all pretty much said the same thing. One of the best fights ever. Neither fighter showed up to the post-match press conference because
it had to be good.
they both went to the hospital.
Oh, I'll show you the picture of her face. The hardest part for me is I watched as many highlights as I could get my hands on online to see what I could see because I obviously didn't see the fight live. And I'm sorry, it's not a sex thing. I just don't like watching women beat each other up. It just does.
I'm with you.
It bothers me. It's like,
I don't like seeing it either.
I mean, it's just.
I'll take it.
Am I wrong to say that? Is it a sexist
it's
thing?
fine.
I mean,
So with UFC, I've never really been a fan of it just because I don't like that style of combat for anybody. I don't like watching anybody do that because it's one, I don't know how you score a UFC fight. I mean, outside of somebody getting knocked out and the blood of somebody being obviously more than the other person, I don't know how you would score it. The judges, it's just kind of a judgment call. Like, yeah, he kicked your ass. But that's other than that, I don't really understand it. And then I'm not a fan of watching people fight in that kind of way. Like boxing there's a scorecard. There's more of a strategy involved. It's it's not meant to destroy each other. But the UFC has always been a little bit too violent for my liking. And it's weird that I think that, but I don't like watching it because I don't like watching when people post like viral fights on like social media. I hate it. I report those because I don't like watching people fight like that. It's a little too vicious for my liking. And some people enjoy the carnage. I just never have liked it, especially like you said when it's two women going at it. It just kind of
I may be hypocritical here because I do enjoy watching the big fights. I did like watching Conor McGregor fight. I did like watching the Canadian guy that was successful here,
George St. Pierre.
Yeah, George GSP. I enjoyed watching him fight as well. But here's the thing. This is what I used to tell my son. We'd watch it. We went to this competition years ago at the MGM Garden Arena. We saw like team UFC fighting. And I told Jacob, I go, listen, don't start getting too excited about this sport. If you really want to do UFC, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out in the garage. I'm going to kick the crap out of you and throw $20 at you. Because that's what it's like being a UFC fighter. And I'll have like 10 girls stand around and clap. Because that is what a UFC fighter is. And while you're doing it, I'll have a picture of Dana White up on the wall. Because that's where all your money goes is to him, not in your pocket. And that's what always has bothered me about the UFC. I've said this for years, Caleb. Playing football at any level over the course of years, yes, it is a dangerous, violent sport, but they do everything in the world to protect your head. And I've said, let's see 20 years down the road while we're talking about brain injuries and brain trauma and CTE, and let's wait 20 years and watch these UFC fighters and what they're doing. At least the NFL now has pensions and things in place for these guys, and you make a lot of money as an NFL player, even though it's short-lived. In the UFC, you make peanuts.
And the hypocrisy of the safety and the head injuries being an issue with the NFL, but we don't really show much concern for the UFC or boxing for that matter with the head injuries. When people last year died from boxing injuries, so that kind of thing.
Well, I'm saying, what do you think is
UFC,
more?
Don't get me wrong. There is a technical aspect to UFC, like when the takedowns and the submission game and all that stuff. There's a technical aspect that I can enjoy.
A huge
but at
skill
the end
level.
of the day, the overall goal of the UFC and and boxing even for that matter, is to inflict harm on somebody else. That's not the goal of football. The goal of football is to score points and to get the ball to the end. You can play football without contact if you wanted to. That makes it a little bit more fun.
I agree, but I think there is a tremendous skill to the art of boxing when it's done properly. But here's the difference. Like I said with the UFC, what do you think is more catastrophic to your head? 2 helmets colliding wearing protective headgear, or a shin bone directly to your noggin? Because that's what happens in the UFC. That can't be good over a period of time. And the object, as Caleb is saying, is to knock people out. All right, listen, we got to move on. We'll fly past Blazin. What I wanted to say, Blazin, I want to do a future one that I've never done. I'm just going to mention quickly. How about this kid for Dayton? You want to know why Dayton's so good? And Devon mentioned him last night. How about this kid, Obi Toppin, who last night, if you didn't see this kid's dunk, did you get a chance to see his highlight, Caleb?
I didn't.
If you didn't, please Google Obi Toppin last night and look at the dunk.
Can I get a spell check, please?
Running down full speed. He goes up, left hand under his leg, takes it with his right hand, and does a windmill dunk in a game. And I said, wait till next year. Imagine when you have a slam dunk contest in 2021. You've got Obi, you've got Ja Morant, and Zion going at it in the slam dunk contest in 2021. It's the first time I'm probably going to be super excited since Jordan participated in it. How cool is that? And then going, an honorable mention. Obviously, we'll give it to Wyoming, the 11th seed in the Mountain West Conference tournament. They've never won. 11 seeds never won a game. They won 2, and they played Utah State pretty well down to the wire, which was awesome. And finally, the overall Blazing, man. The Mountain West Conference tournament championship game was amazing, and so was Sam Merrill. After the game, I got a chance to talk to the guy. He is, what do they call him on ESPN? This guy is a major stud, and he is. And this is Sam after the game. Sam, a few minutes after this game, and I mean, I'm probably about 15, 20 minutes removed from the shot. What are your emotions like right now?
I still just can't believe it. Like I said over there, we didn't have a perfect regular season. I know expectations were really high for us, and I know even a lot of our fans were disappointed. But the way that we responded after going through a tough stretch, the amount of resiliency that we showed and the amount of character that we showed to get to this point, it means everything. To be able to find a way to win that game against one of the 4 best teams in the country and to hold them to 56 points, that's just some big-time team basketball.
You talked about it in there at the turnaround time. You guys just had no time to turn this around, another 2 seed, but it seems to be working out well for you. But again, the first half, there was some tired legs, and you guys missing some shots a little bit short. How do you find energy in the second half to rebound like that? And no offense for talking about rebounds, talking about Justin Bean, but to rebound like that and come back and play this well and start knocking down the shots you were missing in the first half?
Yeah, the good thing was we felt like we were missing a lot of wide open shots. We were getting what we wanted, just couldn't knock them down. And like I said, getting that to 8, if we had been down 12 or 13, there might have been a little more stress. But getting it to 8, we felt confident that those shots would fall. And if we could continue to guard the way that we did, then we'd find a way to come back.
The moniker before the game was it's going to be the Sam Merrill, Malachi Flynn show, and yet how about all the unsung players that don't get normal credit? Guys like blue-collar guys like Justin Bean, who picks up double-digit rebounds. Guys like Abel Porter, who I'm sitting right behind your bench watching this guy put a back monitor on every time he's on the bench, and then to give you those quality minutes defensively at the end of the game. And then, of course, Anderson, probably some of the biggest shots of his life in that game. How about those guys stepping up in a game like this?
Absolutely. I mean, Abel just battled, and he's in so much pain, but he did not score 1 point, but he was so important to us tonight, and Justin just did what he does. Feels like he gets every rebound. And then you look at Alfonso, a guy who played a ton at the beginning of the season, and once Nimi came back, his minutes dropped a little bit, and he didn't pout or make it about himself. He just continued to work, and he showed up big time. Him and Malachi are like best friends, so I'm sure he enjoyed making some big shots.
Coach Smith, what a character. What is it like playing for a guy that turns around every 5 minutes and is getting your crowd into the game and stuff? Does it motivate you playing for a coach like that?
Absolutely. He's incredible. I'm not really big into that kind of stuff. I'm not like a hype guy, so to have a coach like that, and he knows exactly – he always knows the temperature of the team. He knows if he needs to yell at us or whether he needs to try and pump us up and be positive, and he does a fantastic job. And I wouldn't want to play for anybody else.
Finally, you got the NCAA tournament, back-to-back Mountain West tournament championships, and now the NCAA tournament. You said the big goal here is bucket list is winning a game or games in the NCAA tournament. I know when you look back on this, no matter what happens in a couple of weeks, you'll look at this as some of the greatest time of your life. But how does this team make this run and make a run now in the NCAA tournament? Put this behind them, say, hey, this was great. What an incredible basketball game we just played. But now we got the business at hand.
Well, fortunately, maybe unfortunately, but we have this long period where next week we just sit around and we'll be able to enjoy this for a couple days and then probably get a couple practices in, and that's where we can focus on what we want to do, and then come Sunday we'll see who we're playing. And I think, there's always a concern that maybe there'll be some rust because we're not going to play for a week and a half, but hopefully this will help us be able to clear our minds and just focus on the task at hand.
Sam, I wanted to tell you, I never say this to any athlete, but I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure watching you play in the Mountain West the last couple of years. Thanks for the interview, and thanks for what you put on the floor.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
TJ Otzelberger, what does he mean to you? You were here last year for the transition and really had a breakout season this year. First team all-conference, got to be very prideful of that. But how has TJ helped you out in your game?
TJ, he has helped me a lot. He has pushed me. He's pushed me to better myself, not just on the court, but just as a young man. He just always, he doesn't treat me the same. He's much more harder on me. He challenges me a lot, and that has made me much better this year.
Fact this. If you don't like the facts, take your ass back to bed. Fact this.
Yeah, it's a fact. Aside from Thursday afternoon's quarterfinal loss in the Mountain West Conference tournament this Thursday, UNLV finished the regular season on a season-high 5-game winning streak, which included a road win over then 26-0 San Diego State. This means expectations will be high going into next season. Joining on the Fox Sports Residential Bancorp studio line is a guy who was on the last Runnin Rebel team to make the Sweet 16 and current UNLV assistant coach Kevin Kruger. Kevin, first, thank you for coming on the show the morning of what I'm hoping is your first Sunday off work in a while.
Yeah, it is. No, but thanks for having me.
I appreciate you getting up on a Sunday. I do, especially on a day off. But listen, why should there be or why should there not be elevated expectations next season?
Well, I think kind of both, to be honest. I mean, obviously this team finishing, in a tie for second just wasn't really expected by a lot of the, onlookers. And so I think it was kind of felt like a nice surprise probably to a lot. But then at the same time with that, you expect the program to continue to move forward. And I think with Coach TJ, that's kind of what you can expect. I mean, he does things the right way, and he's firm in his beliefs about building and the program and just kind of setting the foundation, and then kind of the wins will come, once that foundation's laid.
And the foundation, I think, started this year. Bryce Hamilton, a guy last year we watched play for Marvin Menzies here at UNLV. We definitely saw some talent. I don't think anybody saw him morphing into the star of this team. We saw it happen kind of with Joel and Tomway last year, but incredible what he did. But UNLV is potentially a sleeping Mountain West Conference giant with all the new faces coming in. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, Bryce had an unbelievable year. I mean, he started off and he was kind of trying to find his way in the rotation at times, and came in early and gave a good spark. But then it was just continually challenged to do more and just do more and get better. And Bryce answered the bell on a lot of those occasions. I mean, he's got a gift for being able to get to the rim and kind of make those shots, those kind of awkward in between shots that scorers do. He's got a real good feel for that, and I think he was somebody a lot of times this year that we counted on heavily, because if we were kind of stuck or in a rut, he's somebody that has that ability to just kind of go make something happen.
The new guys coming in, you've only got 3 seniors going out, and they will be tough to replace. Mutro Long really coming into his own midway through the season and towards the end. Love the moxie that kid. Was really unfortunate that we didn't get to see him play in the Mountain West Conference tournament, kind of a last-second decision. But losing a few guys, but getting more than what you're losing. But how about the incoming class of players that are coming in? You got to be excited about that, Kevin.
No, absolutely. We've got a group of guys coming in that more than anything are excited to come here, excited to be a part of the UNLV family. And, I think as we kind of notice around college basketball, really, sometimes people say, oh, we didn't know much about him, or he's not a name we recognize, but the fact that the kid just wants to be there at whatever school it may be, and they're having success, I think it is more than half the battle. And when you get guys that want to be, at your school, and they're taking pride and ownership in it, that's really the only way you can really achieve the success you're looking for.
The UNLV basketball program a couple of years back, and I know you were all about it. Dave Rice getting let go 3 games into the Mountain West Conference schedule, and really kind of threw this whole program into a tailspin for a minute. Marvin Menzies came in as kind of a Band-Aid. But I get asked this question all the time, and I'd much rather hear it from you. And usually when you're asking an assistant coach, you ask a coach about evaluating an assistant coach. But I think you'd be a qualified assistant coach to evaluate a coach, being that you were brought up in a coaching family and your dad being a very successful D1 coach. What, in your opinion, makes TJ Otzelberger the man for this job?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. Probably a little underqualified, certainly, but I think what the similarities just from growing up and being around my dad doing it, I think that the biggest similarity is just the emphasis on the culture, and just again going back to getting kids that want to be here and want to be Runnin Rebels, first and foremost, and then just kind of creating that culture, that work environment where people want to be around each other, and they want to do it for each other. You're not out there playing just kind of for yourself. You're not going to work every day for yourself, but that your teammates are relying on you, and so you end up just kind of wanting to do it for each other. And I would say that's the biggest similarity. Even when we as a staff, we go in there, we try to do whatever we can to just kind of be the best group of 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it can be. And I think when the players start doing that is really just when you kind of start see the kind of the tide turn a little bit. And so I think that's probably the biggest similarity is just his interest and his demand that that we're going to do things this way. It's the way that's been proven to win, and he's not going to waver on that.
You've seen that type of unity. You saw it on the team you played on. Getting to the Sweet 16 is a very formidable task in today's day and age with all the teams and all the talent at the collegiate level. How close is this UNLV team, in your opinion, or how far away from being the UNLV team that your dad led to the Sweet 16? How far is this team from making a run or an accomplishment like that, do you think?
Well, I think kind of like you said, I think you're kind of both. There's a little bit. It's on both sides of the coin. You can be really close. As we showed by winning at San Diego State, which nobody else really even kind of threatened to do. And then, but on the flip side, losing a couple home games that we felt we should win, especially with an environment at the Thomas and Mack that UNLV has. So, it's just those little things, like those little. Just kind of those little actions and those little decisions that go in and go on through the year that, they can kind of sway your season one direction or another. And, that's not to say that every team that doesn't make the Sweet 16, is doing something wrong. Sometimes, the ball just doesn't bounce your way. But I just don't think there's much. I think it's a really fine line about just buying in and, just kind of playing for each other and, just kind of figuring out what happens after that.
A couple of players developing, moving forward. Bryce Hamilton, we talked about him earlier, really emerged as the star of the team, a sophomore only. He stays in school 2 more years. How good can he be?
Well, sky's the limit for Bryce. I mean, he's like we talked about, he's got a feel that most don't have. And, he's got the ability, we didn't shoot it well this year, but Bryce still had the ability to get to the rim and get mid-range open looks. And then he's also got that ability to kind of make those more difficult shots where when, 9 out of 10 guys take them, you say, if you're a defender, you're saying that's exactly what we want. But with Bryce, he's got that ability to kind of to make them go in. And but we'll continue to challenge him because I don't think that with the progress he even made from November to February, there's really no telling how far the progress can go. But, we'll continue to challenge him. One of the biggest challenges for him is he's got to be more vocal. He's got to be more vocal in the timeout, in the locker room, in the huddles, in the practices, and so that'll be a big challenge for him. We know he can score, we know he's athletic, and he's going to be able to defend better. But now he needs to take that step, between sophomore and junior year of becoming more of a leader.
first-team all-conference player this year as a sophomore, youngest guy to make that, to get that honor, a big thing for him. I need you to help me settle an argument that we've been having here about other Mountain West Conference players a little bit. One of them who we're talking about, potential NBA potential is Malachi Flynn, and we're going back and forth on whether he'll be drafted, whether he won't, whether he'll succeed, and all those. It's all mere conjecture, as we all know, Kevin. But I look at this guy and I see a tremendous upside. I see a passion for the game, and I see NBA moves. Other people don't. What do you think of Malachi Flynn's ability to play the game?
Well, I think he's a tremendous player, obviously, and I think one of the biggest attributes that you can see when you watch a guy like Malachi Flynn is he's going to go out there and he's going to give everything he has to try to help your team win. And much like we talked about with the difference between a team advancing in the tournament and not can be just those fine lines. You take, for example, a guy like a Quinn Cook even, who has always found himself with organizations that want him to be there because he will do whatever it takes at any level to help the team win. And, I'm not saying that's the limit for Malachi Flynn, because I think he could be a great player at any level, but just that want to and that desire to win at all costs and do whatever it takes to win, whether it's play this many minutes, play that many minutes, I think is appealing to really high-level Europe, NBA, or wherever you might end up.
Another guy, Sam Merrill. I mean, I say of all the college players I've gotten the pleasure to watch over the years and getting to do this, he's one of my all-time favorites. To see a guy that's motor runs all the time, a guy with very little ego in an ego-driven sport, and a guy that just really plays this game. When they say a guy that plays to win, it's so overused. I think when it comes to Sam Merrill, all he wants to do is win. And but I look at him again, and I look at that next level. He's not projected to get drafted. How far can Hart take you? Because when it comes to Hart, this guy's as big as the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, and I think there's no limit for Sam as well. Obviously, a terrific player, really fun to watch. Them yesterday in that game, an incredible championship game. But I think there's a place for everybody. And some might say can't do this, can't do that. Well, then that's probably just not the place for him. Like you said, a guy that I'm sure if you're running a team, you're going to look at a guy like Sam Merrill because of everything you just said. His heart and his desire to win and his just cutthroat mentality, especially late in games, to be able to make big shots. Why wouldn't you want him on the floor to maybe even open up space for somebody else, for one of your, drivers and slashers? And, you got a guy over there that is not scared to make that big shot. But, I don't think that, really that there's a limit to what either one of them can do. I think you find the right spot, you find the right fit in an organization that values what you do well instead of picks apart what you may not do well or may not do great is just where they all want to be.
Yeah, I agree. And Sam Merrill, the one thing I think that people did not give him enough credit for in his tenure in the Mountain West was his ability to play defense every night in and night out. That guy's guarding the best point guard or the point guard on the other team and still putting up 20-plus points a game. That can't be overstated. I got to ask Evan 2 more questions. One, I have to ask you, with your dad at Oklahoma, typically when somebody starts out coaching, they coach under their dad, and yet you're at UNLV, your alma mater. Is that your decision, his decision? I got to know.
No, that was mine. We, obviously being at Oklahoma, we had a great time, and it was great to be around, him and my mom as much as we were. But when this opportunity opened up, we just really always loved Vegas and felt that, it was a great opportunity to kind of learn under somebody else as well, but also to be in Vegas and be at the alma mater. Really just felt like it was too good an opportunity to pass up.
Last question. Talk to the UNLV fans right now. Why do they need to start packing the MAC again next season?
We need to start packing because we're slacking. We're going out there and guys are playing as hard as they possibly can, and I think that if there's ever a reason to come jump back into UNLV basketball with 2 feet, it's just watching us in November and watching us in February. I think that the strides that the guys made this past year with Coach TJ obviously are as good as anyone could have expected. We struggled a little bit early, but we continually got better. And the Thomas and Mac we were talking about, everybody, we feel like a lot of people around the West Coast in the conference or wherever it may be kind of would take what UNLV was doing and kind of tweak it to kind of make it their own. But UNLV kind of started a lot of interest in a lot of the rivalries that are kind of in the West Coast and the Mountain West today. And that we go places like San Diego State and it's packed and their pregames out of this world, and we just got to kind of get that back going and give our guys something to be proud of. When you run out there on the court and you see the crowd's going crazy, the band's going crazy, and everything's it's just electric. It just makes everything that much better.
Kevin, I sit in here surrounded. I'm a Michigan State alumni, but I sit in here in front of me. My producer is a UNLV alumni. Our intern to my right is a senior at UNLV, and to my left is the former quarterback, Caleb Herring, who's our co-host here, the last UNLV quarterback to take them to a bowl game. So believe me, I feel it all around me, how passionate and how much they want the Runnin Rebel culture back here in Las Vegas. And having a Kruger on the bench doesn't hurt either to pick it up. And I agree with you 100%. When Michigan State, we were never terrible, but even when we were not good, I don't ever remember not a sold-out game at football or basketball. To me, it's a crime that students don't pack their facility no matter how a team is playing. It is a lot of fun. And plus, the Thomas and Mack is a beautiful basketball facility to go see a game at. And I really hope that we start seeing the fans get back out there again, because to me, and I don't mind saying this, it's embarrassing. And they need to come out and support the team. Kevin Kruger, assistant coach, UNLV basketball team, we really appreciate you joining the show, my friend.
No, thank you.
We'll have him on again for sure. That is Kevin Kruger. We're going to take a real quick break. We still have a few things to talk about. We got the Aviators report. The last day to see a Major League Baseball game in Las Vegas is today. We'll be right back. On the line with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., NASCAR driver and 2020 Daytona 500 pole sitter. What's going on, Ricky? How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm good. Just out here in Phoenix, getting ready to do some practicing later today.
I want to get to what I really wanted to talk to you about was the Las Vegas course. I know you've had success here. I think you won the Boyd Gaming 300 a few years back. But I wanted to start out with Daytona this year. What did it mean to you? I mean, it's crazy because a lot. What you're trying to do is win races, but winning the pole at Daytona is like getting a ticket to the Super Bowl to a degree. You still got to win it, but it is a big, big event in your life. What did that feel like, and what did it mean to you?
Yeah, it was cool. I think for me, it was, hey, we got another pole. It was great for our team and all the hard work that, the guys put in this off season. But then, like, all the media and, the recognition that came with it, I was like, holy cow, this is a bigger deal than I even thought it was. So, all in all, man, it was great for our whole team and all of our partners with Kroger and everyone that helps us out. So, that was a perfect way to start the season, that's for sure, with my new team.
Yeah, I can imagine, and that was going to be my next question, the distraction of winning the pole. All of a sudden, you have all this media attention on you. You're getting pictures taken. You're talking to everybody. And I mean, this is the biggest race of your life every year. This is the Super Bowl of NASCAR. Is it a distraction?
I wouldn't say it's a distraction. It's just cool to be able to talk about, my race team and, how much work that they put in and, all the good things about switching over to JTG Doherty Racing. So I thought it was a perfect way for us to start and, to be able to talk about how much I appreciate being there. And so I enjoyed it. Definitely maybe a little bit more pressure as far as, all right, hey, we got the fastest car now. Now we need to go win with it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm sure that is a future goal and a bucket list for every NASCAR driver.
Oh, yeah.
How much did Ryan Newman's crash take away from this year's race, do you think? Because it was something, watching it as a spectator, it was horrific.
Yeah, it was big. My spotter was telling me about it. Obviously, I didn't see it all go down. And so when I got back to the bus, I rewatched it, and I was like, holy cow, that was one of the worst ones I've seen. And obviously, since I've been racing it, I would say it is, the worst one that I've seen. But, I think it took away from it. But, I think in the same time, it's, it shows, how dangerous our sport is. NASCAR's come so a long ways in making these cars safe, and it showed, obviously, that we still have Ryan with us. So, it just gets everybody looking at, being more innovative still and taking that crash and trying to make it safer for everybody.
You brought up the point that I was going to bring up next, and it is the safety issue. And it seems like ever since the Dale Earnhardt Sr. tragedy, they have really stepped up now, securing your neck and head to that degree. Does it help with the confidence, seeing a crash like Ryan Newman's, and a couple of days later he walks out of the hospital and he'll be racing again? How much confidence does that give you in the safety of these machines?
Yeah, it gives you a lot of confidence. I mean, like I said, one of the worst ones you've seen, and for him to be able to walk out of the hospital a few days later, it's just a testament to all the hard work and the continued safety that they do. And like I said, they're continuing to look at that one and making sure that building this new car that we're building, making sure that they get more improvements in there that we need. And so I'm very confident in the car. That's not one thing that you think about is crashing or the what if. You just go out and do your job, and if that happens, deal with it when it comes.
I'll tell you, it definitely, as a fan, it was cool to see him be able to walk away, but it just instilled in me why I would never race NASCAR, and it'll keep me going slow on the roads, that's for sure. We are talking to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He drives the number 47 Chevy Camaro for the JTG Doherty Racing. Ricky, in Vegas, you have had some success here. NASCAR has grown insurmountably here in Vegas over the past several years since I got here in 2004. What do you like about this track? Because you have had some success here.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's been a good track for us. And back then, the Nationwide Series, obviously went there in 2012. We've had some good runs in Cup, and then we were able to play some pit strategy there and finish third. The race this year, but the track's just fun. I mean, the asphalt is, a little bit older. You can run the very bottom of the track, the very top. It's got some bumps and things down in turns 1 and 2. Got good characteristics. And then I just like being in Vegas, being able to go eat at good restaurants. And, we got a lot of good fans that come out to that race and enjoy the city as well as, coming out and enjoying our race. So just a great stop on our circuit for sure.
Yeah, and to race here twice now, you gets a little bit more familiarity with the track. It's been really cool out here for us in Vegas, again, to watch NASCAR grow. What's your favorite play? Where do you enjoy racing more than anywhere else? I mean, Ricky, of course, if you're not familiar, I don't know how you're not, Rookie of the Year in the Nationwide Series back in 2010, back-to-back Nationwide Series championships in 2011 and 12, and in 2013, the Sprint Cup Series Rookie of the Year. Ricky, you've done it all. I know you're trying to do it right now at the highest level, a couple of wins on this series. Where do you like racing the most?
My favorite stop on the circuit is Bristol. It's my favorite racetrack. I definitely want to knock that one off the bucket list sooner than later, winning there. But I just love to compete every weekend. It seems like there's always something new that you're fighting, and throughout the race, it's always changing. So, I just love to compete.
Two things: the most difficult thing about your job and the thing you enjoy the most.
Sometimes you get run around doing, a lot of media stuff and sponsor stuff. And, sometimes it's like, hey, I just want to go back and race. And, that's what we do it for. So, that's the fun part. But, it takes every part to make this sport go around. And, we got to help promote it. Got to help, bring fans to the track. And then, when they're there, you got to make sure that they're entertained on the track, and then also, doing things outside the racetrack for them.
Real quickly, I want Spencer, our intern's chomping at the bit to ask you a question, but I got to know, life off the track. I mean, I talked years ago with Tom Sneva, IndyCar driver, and he said sometimes living normal life is tough because you spend 2.5 hours every Sunday with your hair on fire, and then you get normal life, and it's like walking around in slow motion. Is it like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, Sunday's pretty fast-paced. Throughout the week, I keep it slow with golfing and, just hang out.
Hey, Ricky, it's Spencer. I just got to know, before the Daytona 500, are there any pre-race rituals? Do you eat a certain kind of cereal? Do you wake up at a certain time?
No, I don't really get in a routine as far as that goes. I've always said that if I have any superstition, do a thing a certain way, and then all of a sudden I mess that up, then I'll be screwed. So I just roll with it. Our race days are always changing as far as different appearances and things like that.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., man. Me and Spencer got to talk to him Friday. Pretty darn cool. Nightcap.
Hockey players, as you know, are warriors. They don't give up. They come to play every game.
It's time for Nightcap, a cupful of the Vegas Golden Knights. From highlights to interviews to special events, the puck starts here.
The Knights have dropped 2 of 3 and have scored 4 goals total in the last 3 games. Chris, any reason for concern?
I think so. I mean, Mark Stone obviously is missing, so that's a big deal. But I will say this. I mean, in 2 of Marc-Andre Fleury's last 3 starts, he's given up 4 goals. It's great he had the shutout against Edmonton. He played well the following night. But Robin Lehner has looked really good in his 2 starts. Buffalo and New Jersey. He's going to get to start today against Calgary, I do believe. And the concern is, look, I don't know if it's the team in front of Marc-Andre Fleury when he's playing or if it's a thing with Marc-Andre Fleury. They as a collective group, they need to be better when he's in net because defensively they've been fine. And then all of a sudden they hit this stretch the last 3 games where defensively they haven't looked good. So, I'm not concerned, but I think as long as Mark Stone is not on the ice, you should be concerned. I do think they are the best team in the Pacific. That being said, I think there's a benefit to not winning the division because you're guaranteed 2 games or 2 rounds against you're guaranteed a round against a Pacific Division team, and then you would get the winner of the first Pacific Division team and a wild card team. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think you clearly don't want to play Winnipeg. You don't want to play Minnesota. Finishing second wouldn't be a bad thing for the Golden Knights. But as long as Mark Stone's not there, yeah, you should be a little concerned because they haven't looked great since he's been out.
One of the things we talked about, by the way, I don't think we mentioned it much, but I want to thank Tim Unglesby last night because Spencer and I got to come in. It was late night, but we were here in the Fox Sports studios doing Heatwave Sports with him. And one of the things, Chris, we talked about last night on Heatwave Sports was, is there a goalie controversy? Is there going to be a competition for goaltender? I said that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be the goaltender to start the playoffs. If he stumbles and they lose a game, they lose 2 games, they're going to go to Fenner, and then there is going to be a full-blown goalie competition. But my main thing is I think this was done for the future, not for the present, but the future could be now.
Well, I've always believed that you don't go out and upgrade the goalie position because you're concerned with the backup. I think you go out and you upgrade the goalie position because you have concern about the starter. Right? How many more games was Malcolm Subban going to play down the stretch? 3, 4? And then Marc-Andre Fleury gets into playoff mode. Completely different story. I don't know if there's a controversy. I will say this. As long as Marc-Andre Fleury is allowing 4 goals a game, there's going to be a goalie controversy. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, you cannot give up 4 goals, regardless of what the reasons are. You can't give up 4 goals. And he's had arguably one of the worst years of his career. His save percentage is down. His goals against is up.
I've always had the worst year of his career, and I'm not going to disagree with that in any way, shape, or form. You can see it. He has also had a couple of the best games of his career this year as well, which are mind-blowing. A couple more shutouts. But there's no question there is a competition, and definitely for next year. I mean, at Marc-Andre Fleury's age, and like I talked about 7 concussions deep into a career that has spanned a couple of decades now, he, Mother Nature's undefeated, and Fenner is a guy is a guy that vied for the Vezina Trophy last year.
Well, Marc-Andre Fleury finished fourth.
I'm saying he would start on a lot of teams in the National Hockey League and play the majority of the games for that team.
Yes, he would.
So that is a competition right there, and like you said, they didn't get him to be a backup; they got him to compete for the starting job, which he's probably going to do at the beginning of next season on a regular basis. That's about it. We are just about, I didn't realize we're that out of time. We are out of line every Sunday morning, 8 to 9, Fox Sports Radio, Residential Bank Corp. We want to thank them. Thank Caleb Herring. Thank The Wiz, Chris Magnum-Chapman, and, of course, Kevin Kruger. I want to thank him as well, and Sam Merrill, all of them. Great day today. Enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, same time. Couple weeks, we have the Vegas Golden Knights watch party, and in 2 weeks, Caleb and Spence will take care because I'm going to be in Costa Rica. That is if the virus doesn't kill me first. Out of line, thank everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.